15 Things You Didn't Know About Brian Tracy. Welcome to Alux.com, the place where future billionaires come to get inspired. Hello Aluxers, and welcome to another exciting original video presented by Alux.com. Brian Tracy is a motivational speaker, businessman, best-selling author, and consultant. He's a self-made millionaire that came from a very humble beginning. Brian Tracy was born on January 5, 1944, in Prince Edward Island, Canada. After a difficult childhood, he traveled for about 8 years before settling down into his job as a salesman. After dedicating himself to becoming the best at whatever he put his mind to, he had success in sales and marketing, investments, real estate development, importation, distribution, and management consulting. He became the chief operating officer of a $265 million development company, and then decided to become a full-time author and motivational speaker. He is now the CEO of his own company called Brian Tracy International, and is the president of 3 companies based in Solana Beach, California. He has consulted for more than 1,000 businesses, and has given over 5,000 talks in countries all over the world. He addresses approximately 250,000 people each year as a public speaker, and also writes an average of 4 books a year. His net worth is currently around $15 million. If you're new here, welcome. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on Instagram at Alux. That's enough background. Let's get to the 15 things you didn't know about Brian Tracy. Number 1. He was a high school dropout. When Brian was growing up, his family struggled quite a bit financially. Brian decided to drop out of high school and work to help support his family. He had several physically demanding jobs, including working in a sawmill, farming, working in a factory, washing dishes, and doing construction work. Number 2. He used to be homeless. Brian was actually homeless for a few years after he decided to go off and live on his own. He slept many nights in his car after working long days at physically hard labor jobs. Things started turning around for him when he got a sales job, and eventually he earned enough to get his first apartment, but only after years without a roof over his head. Number 3. He traveled around the world starting at the age of 20. When Brian was 20 years old, he had a dream to travel from the top of Africa to the bottom, so Brian recruited 3 friends to make the very ambitious journey with him. They only had $300 between them when they left from Vancouver, Canada. They crossed the country to get to Montreal, found jobs, and saved enough money to sail to England. They wanted to bicycle across Europe, but found the hills of France too intimidating, so they rode by train across Europe to North Africa. Then he and his friends crossed the Sahara Desert, but more on that later. He settled in Johannesburg, South Africa, where he lived for 2 years. Number 4. He has written over 70 books. Brian has written over 70 self-help and motivational books that have been translated into dozens of languages. His book titles include Eat That Frog, The Power of Self-Discipline, $1 Million Habits, and Just Shut Up and Do It. He's also recorded more than 300 audio and video programs, most notably The Psychology of Achievement, which has been translated into 28 different languages. Number 5. He has visited more than 107 countries. Brian travels 150 days a year on average, and since he first left Canada at around the age of 20, he traveled in more than 107 countries on 6 continents. Number 6. He has a black belt in Shotokan Karate. At the age of 20, Brian started to get involved in martial arts. He trained with martial arts experts and eventually earned his black belt in Shotokan Karate. The discipline, self-control, and other lessons he learned through practicing martial arts has helped him in his professional and personal life, and he discusses this in some of his books. He also contributed to a 2011 book called Success Secrets of Black Belt Masters. Number 7. He attributes much of his success to his morning routine. When asked how he's able to maintain such a high level of productivity, Brian attributes his success to his morning routine. He wakes up 2 hours before his first appointment or scheduled activity of the day. The first 30 minutes after he wakes up, he exercises, preferring to swim most days. Then he'll have a cup of coffee and do some spiritual reading to get his mind ready for the day. He says it's important to exercise both your body and mind first thing in the morning before taking on your day. Number 8. Despite not graduating high school, he earned a master's degree in business. Although he dropped out of high school, he applied to and was accepted at the University of Alberta at the age of 30, and he would eventually earn a master's degree in business economics. Number 9. He never plays the radio or music when in the car with his family. One of the lessons that Brian communicates to others is that it's important to turn things off. Turning off the computer, TV, phone, etc. is a great way to connect with the people around you, as you are encouraged to interact rather than be passive observers. Brian practices this in his car. He says whenever he's traveling with one or more family members, he never turns on the radio. Whether on a long road trip or a quick trip to the store, the radio stays off and he engages in conversation with whoever he's riding with. Number 10. He doesn't believe in luck. Brian has had some haters that have said that all his successes can be attributed to luck. But Brian brushes these criticisms off, saying there's no such thing as luck, only probabilities, and you can influence the probabilities to work in your favor. If you are successful in what you do, you are bound to have some haters. Click on the top right-hand corner to check out our video of 15 things you should know about your haters. Number 11. He has read over 7,000 books. A big part of Brian's success has been gaining wisdom from books he has read on a wide variety of subjects. As mentioned, he likes to start his day with some spiritual reading, but he reserves up to 3 more hours a day to indulge in his favorite pastime. He has read over 7,000 books on all different topics, including economics, psychology, raising children, and world history. Number 12. He has no intention of retiring. Brian says he loves speaking. He's very good at it. He's paid very well, so why would he stop? It's safe to say this 73-year-old has no intention of retiring. He says he can't imagine what it would be like to just sit at home. He admits he may have to slow down in the future, but he never intends to stop. Number 13. Brian met his wife at college. One of Brian's audio programs is entitled 21 Great Ways to Meet and Marry the Woman of Your Dreams. He even gives the buyer a money-back guarantee that they will meet the woman of their dreams within 1 year of using his strategies. So, how did he meet his wife, Barbara? He says he met her while at the University of Alberta. She caught his eye. He walked over to her, and they started chatting over cups of coffee. Brian was so nervous he spilled the coffee all over the table, but she didn't hold it against him. They were married in 1979 and have 4 children. Number 14. He almost died while crossing the Sahara Desert. Okay, let's get back to the story of Brian and his friends crossing the Sahara in their early 20s. Before they set out across the desert, the locals warned them that they would die if they tried to do it, but they didn't listen. They bought a Land Rover and teamed up with a group of Germans who were crossing the desert in a Volkswagen bus. They only had enough water supply for 2 days, so it was vital they didn't get lost or sidetracked. Over the next couple of days, they suffered from a life-threatening combination of dysentery, heat stroke, and exhaustion. There was also a risk of them being shot when they entered 2 countries illegally. Nevertheless, they reached their goal, and Brian then felt he could accomplish absolutely anything. Number 15. He had a lime-sized tumor that disappeared after just 7 weeks of treatment. In 2010, Brian went to the doctor for a nasal drip, only to discover that he had a cancerous tumor the size of a lime in his throat. It was determined he had stage 2 throat cancer. Surprisingly, he had not felt a lump or any soreness in his throat prior to this. He began chemotherapy shortly after, and in 7 short weeks, his tumor had completely disappeared. He kept working almost the entire time of his illness, continuing his speaking engagements in the US and Canada, and completing 2 brief speaking tours in Europe, although he did have to take about 6 weeks off during radiation therapy. Now that we've talked about motivational speaker Brian Tracy, we want to know, who is your favorite source of motivation? Let us know what you think in the comments. Still here? Here's a bonus fact for being such a dedicated A-Luxer. Besides his native English, Brian is fluent in German, French, and Spanish, which no doubt is incredibly helpful in his travels. The 4 languages he speaks means he can fluently converse in the official language of around 100 of the 196 countries of the world. Thank you for spending some time with us, Aluxer. Make sure to subscribe so you never miss a video. If you want more, we handpicked these videos you might enjoy, or head over to Alux.com for the best in fine living content on the planet. Be a part of the largest community of luxury enthusiasts in the world and tell your story.